Joining me today in studio, I have Melissa Polischuk and Tracy Badger. Sorry, I almost said Bradley for some reason. From the Huntsville Hospice. And thank you very much for coming in today, guys. We're going to be talking about one of the awesome fundraisers that you're running, which is the Hike for Hospice. So this boot campaign, I remember this very clearly. This had started like the day before we went into lockdown.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I had shot a story too with you, and then we couldn't use it because we had to cancel the boot campaign. So seems like we're kind of moving forward again with this. So tell me what's happening here, Mel.
Yeah, so it's so true, James. Like, oh my gosh, that we had our media launch for the Purple Boot campaign at Nutty Chocolatier, and you know, at that time it was right before, you know, people were social distancing, but not, you know, really, and it was just such a different time, and it seems like years ago that had happened.
So long ago now.
And of course what happened was all the places, we have 40 of these bright shiny purple boots, and basically almost everywhere that we had the boots, with the exception of just a few, we had to pull the boots back because a lot of things were shutting down, businesses and organizations. So we've ramped up the Purple Boot campaign again, all because it's certainly a big fundraiser for our Hike for Hospice this year. And so we have them in the different businesses in and around town, in Huntsville, Lake of Bays, Almeguin Highlands. And when you see these purple boots, you can donate to Hospice Huntsville, and they're sprinkled all throughout. If you don't see a purple boot, we've got a virtual Purple Boot campaign too, that if you visit our website, you can actually donate online with that and get an automatic tax receipt.
Fantastic. I love these boots. I mean, the design of these is so great. I'm going to hold this one. Like that one there. Yeah, they're very cool, very iconic, you know, seeing them downtown and everything. And you have the little QR code as well, so people can get an idea of what the campaign is about, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, tell me, you know, a bit more about how these funds are being used.
Yeah, so with the Purple Boot campaign, just with the QR code too, that people, if you have that app on your phone, you can scan that. That'll go right to the hospice website and our giving page. So you can donate through that, and you can find out all kinds of information about Hospice Huntsville itself. And of course, with COVID and the pandemic that has happened, we've had to either cancel or postpone our signature events, our large fundraising events. Same with third-party events. People and organizations that were raising money for hospice have had to cancel their events too, or put them off. And we always, you know, we went into this year, our fiscal year, going into you know, really how much we've got to raise each year in operating funds. So in fundraising and donations, we've got to raise $658,000 a year minimum, which is 60% of our operating budget that we have to raise for Hospice Huntsville. So over 1,800, I think it's 1,827 a day that we need to at least fundraise or have in donations coming to Hospice Huntsville. And you know, certainly hospice runs like a regular house. You know, in the past, like, of course, we've got all the different bills that we've got to pay to keep Algonquin Grace, you know, running. We also offer certainly our programs free of charge, our grief support programs that we have going, our visiting volunteer programs, and also, you know, different essential items that we need at Algonquin Grace. You know, whether it's equipment, you know, that we need in Algonquin Grace, or if it's you know, bath sets or anything for our residents to make their stay a little bit more comfortable. But now, since COVID has started, the pandemic, it's also funds that we've got to raise for PPE, and that's a household word right now, really, that a lot of people had never heard of PPE before all of this going on. And you know, we have been running Hospice Huntsville, Algonquin Grace is our 5-bed residential hospice all throughout the pandemic. And we, certainly need to keep our residents safe, our staffs safe, and then, of course, visitors that are permitted into hospice safe.
Now, I understand that you wanted to tell me a bit about this message tree as well, that you have part of this. Tracy, I think you had some information on that you wanted to give.
I do. So it's part of the tradition of the Hike for Hospice. And as in most other charities that are running events, they're doing virtual events. So our hike is this year a create your own hike. And there's lots of information about it on our website and links to download the paper pledge form, links to get you to Canada, helps to do online fundraising, and a link for registration, or you can pick up a package at in the entrance vestibule at Algonquin Grace. But we wanted to keep the traditions that have happened in past hikes, one being the celebration of life and the opening ceremony with the celebration of life. And that we're going to provide this year through a taped session that we're actually having this afternoon. And there will be an opening, a reflection, and then a celebration of life and moment of silence to remember those who have passed. And we're going to have that on a link on our website, and hopefully a few other locations as well, including Cogeco. The other thing that we're doing is our memory tree, where people can write a little message on a card to their loved one, and it doesn't have to be somebody who has passed at hospice or has used the hospice services, but somebody that you've recently lost, or maybe lost a long time ago, but are still very much in your heart. You can write a message, hang it on a tree, and we're going to have this tree outside at hospice near the front door, and you can write a message. And then at the end of our Hike for Hospice campaign, which is October the 18th, our gardeners will plant that tree along with your messages. Really nice. And that tradition has gone on, my understanding is, since Algonquin Grace started. And typically it's a lilac or hydrangea tree. It's a purple type of tree. And they're beautiful. They bloom, and they're outside of our office window, and we have the pleasure of looking at them every spring and seeing them in bloom. And it keeps things real. You really understand why you're there working, why you're working to raise money, why you're encouraging people to get involved. And it brings comfort. So we hope that people will join us.
It's definitely a nice sentiment and message, and I may take advantage of that as well. But
good,
ladies, we do have to move on in our newscast, but I appreciate you both coming in. You might be leaving with one less boot, but yeah, we look forward to seeing these around town and making sure that these get filled up with cash. Hopefully, get quite a bit in. So thank you very much again,
thank you.
And I'm sure we'll chat again soon.